What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by two things. Since we don't do any sponsorships here on the channel, I'll show them out real quick. The first is my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound. And the second is a new podcast I just launched called Chasing Infinity on my YouTube music channel. It is myself and ChatGPT as my AI co-host, and we dive into a wide range of topics in short form videos just like these. So check it out. Links in the description, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, I went through a fun little exercise here, and thankfully I had ChatGPT to help me through it. Although I'll be honest, and we talk about ChatGPT a lot on the live streams. I'll be honest, it took a little while for ChatGPT to fully understand what I was doing. So maybe some of it was user error, but essentially what I wanted to find out is what is the total burn value of every card out there. Now, this number is going to be inflated. I'm going to show you how I got to it. It's going to be inflated because obviously we've burned a significant amount of reward cards already, but I'm just looking at the cards that people received for free all throughout the history of Splinterlands. I thought it'd be interesting to dive into that. And so let's actually go over here into ChatGPT. Now you'll see that I was trying a bunch of different ways, but I finally got it to understand me. I simplified the data that I gave it and essentially took that table that I showed you earlier, right? And only took the rarity as well as the number of BCX printed. Now, again, I know that this is incomplete because I'm not even considering gold foils, for example, right? This is just total BCX printed with regular foil burn values. So like I said, this is just a rough number because there's going to be some inflation or like higher end numbers because of gold foils. And also we've burned a significant amount already. So just use this as a rough number. It's more so a thought exercise so we can see what the total damage ends up being around. So I gave it this entire table here, right? And you can see there's a ton of different cards there. And towards the end, we get towards the Chaos Legion commons, which you will, Chaos Legion early commons, right, which you'll recognize by having 8 million printed BCX of each. So essentially what I did was just gave it all of those, told me to sum everything up, and you can see here, right, there's 415,000 legendaries, legendary BCX that were printed. Epics were about, 5.8 million, rares were 14 million, and commons were 70 million. And then I gave it the DEC burn values. It had the wrong burn values in there, so I had to retry it with updated burn values, and that gave us a total here. Well, actually, before we get to the total, you'll see legendary cards, 333 million, epics, 640 million, rares, 344, and commons, 354 million. So all in all, that gets us to a grand total of 1.6 billion DEC that can be minted from these. Now, granted, like I said, a certain percentage of that, probably 4%, based on the gold foil rarity drops, is gold foil. So obviously that will be increased by a significant amount. But at the same time, we've also burned a significant amount of this as well. So if you consider how much we've burned, I think it's like 14 million BCX in total that's been burned. Obviously, there's a lot more BCX that exists out there, right? If we're talking about 354 million or something like that. But keep in mind, this goes all the way back to alpha, beta, and untamed. So this is not just Chaos Legion. Maybe I'll do Chaos Legion for a separate video if you guys find this interesting and want me to dig in further. I can simplify it down and just look at Chaos Legion. But if we're looking at every card out there, it's 1.6 billion, which actually means, considering the fact that collection power reduced dramatically for Chaos Legion, that's probably significantly less than the 1.6 billion that we're looking at right here. But if you just take that and think to yourself, okay, 1.6 billion, that's actually a lot, right? That's not an insignificant amount, but it is finite. It is finite. So even if people wanted to start burning untamed and beta reward cards that might have been trading below their burn value at some point, that could be a thing, right? So if you look at it though, and I want to give proper context for this because, I think it's important. If we look ahead to what the main catalyst can be for DEC burning or DEC lockup, obviously Conclave Arcana is going to be the biggest one. I mean, even Rebellion could be the biggest one as well, as we are rounding out the end of the sale here. But I just want to look ahead to Conclave Arcana because we have that data, or I have that data a little bit fresher top of mind, where if we were to sell every pack, right, 6.5 million packs, I think it was something like 49 billion DEC. Yeah, 49 billion DEC. that would be required in order to purchase, right? That would be the demand for all of those packs. Now, obviously, we're not going to sell that many packs. And so if we just look at that from like a 10% standpoint, which I think is actually, that's actually undercutting it and probably being conservative, right? Because 10% of the 5 million packs, right, standard boosters is what, like 500,000 packs? I think we could easily get to that. That's just a pre-sale right there. And then if you look at the other rarities as well, or not the other rarities, but the other pack types. So if you just do 10%, if we were to sell 10%, just sell out the pre-sale, that's 4.9 billion DEC right there. So while I am worried about the amount of DEC that can be minted from the reward cards, I want to put it in proper context. And you can see that as we get closer, right? If we were to sell out the pre-sale, which I think is very possible for Conclave Arcana, and that could happen in March or April of next year, I mean, that would be 4.9 billion DEC that will be required to make that purchase, of which at least half of that is going to get locked up in the DAO. So we're looking at like 2.5 billion DEC that gets locked up in the DAO. Now you combine this, right, the 1.6 billion with the 600 million that might come out, and that's 2.2 billion. And so, there's like a net of 300 million there. And I know I'm throwing a bunch of numbers out, but that's why I keep getting back to this point where it's like, okay, the burning of cards, which I think is happening en masse now, is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future until there is a massive catalyst that can come in and drive that in a proper way. So if Rebellion doesn't end up doing it, this is why I'm trying to be very conservative with folks and say if Rebellion doesn't do it, it's going to be Conclave Arcana. And I think that, Conclave Arcana should do it relatively easily, but we may struggle getting to and staying around PEG until March of next year, okay, whenever the pre-sale goes live. So just something to keep in mind. Now, obviously, between now and then, we got a good 5-6 months where hopefully people will be burning DEC for a various number of things. We'll be locking up more DEC in the DAO for the remaining Hall of Legends promos and the auction promos. So hopefully things will get better before then. My optimistic hope is that Hall of Legends, auction promo, as well as the end of Rebellion sale will be enough to get us back to PEG and hopefully get the flywheel started. But if it doesn't, because we have to overcome a billion or whatever it ends up being, we're not going to burn every single reward card, but if it ends up being like a billion DEC that might get minted from these reward cards as we get closer, well, that might be something worth considering, where it wouldn't happen until, I guess the next potential catalyst, but there's too many X factors, is land 1.75. I don't really think that's going to do much. I mean, yes, it'll be a catalyst, but really it's going to be Conclave Arcana that comes in and starts pulling DEC out by the billions. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just thought this was a fun little deep dive into the numbers. And I did not calculate them myself. I had ChatGPT do it for me. So hopefully all the numbers make sense. But that's all I got for you in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.